Grant Cardone, like, hey, big successful dude, like smoking his cigars, driving his fancy cars, all that. God bless him, flying in planes. There's investors that'll work with him and do well theoretically, but I'm going to venture to say that's not the same crowd that's coming into fractional.
Yes, absolutely correct. I would say, people on the fractional platform, like they're genuinely here to learn with each other and actually collaborate together, build their success together.
Attention, real estate investors and soon to be real estate investors. Are you looking for a community where you can collaborate and learn with other smart, motivated people like you? With Fractional.app, you can join the community, learn from others, invest when you're ready, and you don't need huge piles of cash to do it. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We've been helping the smartest buyers and sellers make the best data-driven decisions. Stella Han with Fractional.app. So excited to have you here today. Can't wait to ask you some burning questions about Fractional.app.
Thanks for having me, Christian. Super excited to chat more.
So the very big first question from me that's burning, the movie Streetcar Named Desire from 1951. Does anybody ever just come up to you and yell, Stella?
Yes, been hearing that since the third grade. Like every
Yeah.
year that I've got has just been screaming my name like every day during roll call. So
Good, because I was feeling like an old man because I'm like, yeah, I could be your dad, but I wasn't even sure you'd know that reference. So anyway, the whole time, every time I see your name, I want to yell it out. You're a co-founder of Fractional, and it came out of a desire you had to make investing in real estate easier. And I was fascinated to find out that your parents were flipping real estate and you were helping them with that.
yes, definitely. So grew up in a real estate investing family in the Bay Area. And essentially I was, the cheap family labor growing up, spent a lot of, my weekends just, with my parents, watching over the contractors. We call Home Depot like our Disneyland because we're just going there all the time instead of doing more fun things. And that was certainly, a very wild experience for me as a kid. And I remember like painting the homes where like the smells were just like getting so bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, like my head really hurts to like going through all that process, changing the window screens, ripping out the floors, putting in new ones, and
Were
just
you
like
were
a,
you doing manual labor? Was
yes,
this like
I
this
was.
was child labor? Don't worry, I do the same thing to my kids. But no, that's great. You got it to appreciate real estate. You actually have to get in there and get dirty. Like I grew up, my dad built custom homes back in small town Ohio, and I like to joke. I love the smell of sawdust to this day. The volatile organic compounds in paint are a good thing when you're going to resell the property. People do attribute that and want to pay more when they smell that.
Totally, totally. But I mean, it's all that effort up front where after, it looks, you're like, great. You're like, I did that. Like that was
Yeah.
me.
No, that's great. Basically, you were doing that with your parents for a while, going to school. They're both engineers. You're an engineer as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Software engineer by trade.
How did you leverage that experience as growing up doing the flips and then as an engineer and being the daughter of engineers? How did you turn that into fractional?
Yeah, well, I think, building a product as an engineer, starting a company, it's all a very hands-on process. And that's what I love. It's because, I get to control my own destiny. And that's also why, I ended up connecting all these dots to founding Fractional as well, where it was really like, seeing a team of people being able to accomplish something great, everybody being able to, contribute and pull together their complementary skill sets to, really creating a dream together. That's, really what led me to wanting to build a company and, putting my personal experiences, both from the engineering side, the real estate investing side, to even actually partnering with my co-founder to buy properties together, really tying all that together to create what we're building today.
Well, I love that, and you bring a special perspective because you've been in those trenches before when it comes to investing in real estate. So, fractional allows you to own a small piece of an asset, literally anywhere in the United States. It was fun for me to play around in the community, and let's go back to community and down the road when we talk about that because community is big to you guys. But it was fun for me to poke around and lurk. You can go in there and learn so much. And I'm looking at deals. I'm looking at deals from small town Ohio. Outside, I'm from just outside of Cleveland. I saw somebody who had a deal for a fourplex in Cleveland. I'm looking at those numbers, like so. it's fun for me to see those deals from across the nation. One of the biggest challenges to me is property management. So tell me what Fractional does to address those concerns, so you don't have to worry as an investor.
Yes, definitely. I think out of state investing is extremely challenging. That was, a lot of the pain points that I felt when I was doing it, from California out of state investing into, Georgia, Texas, Ohio, for example. And really what helped me was being able to lean on other partners and, creating the dream team where, I was able to, lean on a real estate agent, for example, who wanted to partner with me that knew the area really well. And they knew, where were the upcoming areas versus the trenches where maybe it's a little bit beyond my risk tolerance right now, right? To property management, as you said, right? Like I don't want to get the 3 a.m. phone call about like a toilet that's broken and like I'm in California, there's nothing that I can do about my tenant in Georgia, right? So a lot of it was when we were finding potential deals, actually calling property managers in the area and asking them, hey, I'm thinking about buying this property. What do you think? Asking other partners in my group if they have other connections, what they've done in the area, and just really getting, like the good and the ugly from the people that have
Mhm.
done it before and leveraging that to accelerate like finding the answer for myself.
No, and I love that, having that community, having those people you can lean on and trust, because a no is much, much more valuable than a yes on a
Right.
real estate deal, as you know. Like you said, if your risk tolerance isn't for a certain spot in a city, then that no is very important for you to have. So, one of the other things I love, and you can add onto this, of course, is not only is property management a challenge, but setting up an operating agreement, having attorneys, having CPAs, having people who can support you in your real estate endeavors. And that's not just something exclusive to fractional real estate. These are issues that if you were to go out and take down an asset on your own. So you guys are able to help people through that process. It's fully streamlined, correct? All across the nation for all your assets. Is that
Yes,
right?
absolutely. And I think that's the least fun part of real estate, right? Like, when I think about real estate, I get excited, like analyzing all the potential deals and then, like designing an Airbnb property, for instance, and then seeing my guests go through that experience. Like, I don't really want to think about, all right, I got to spend 40 hours with a lawyer to draft all these agreements with my partners. And then we got to, analyze the books and file the taxes and all that. That is the part that I'd rather not deal with. But it's still, really important, especially when you're working with partners, that you have a really scalable system where, everybody is aligned on how you want to work as a group. You get all of the taxes and the paperwork taken care of. So that's also why, fractional is really important to me as an investor too. It's like I want to work with, my partners on the stuff that's important and fun for me as a real estate investor, and then have, the nitty gritty be just taken care of by the platform.
So, what's your favorite part of the deal? Is it the analysis? Is it the closing? What's your favorite part?
Definitely the analysis, I think, is my own superpower. Like, that's what I enjoy the most. Maybe it's part of that, like, engineer in me where I just like to, crunch the numbers, like, make sure everything looks really good in my financial modeling and all that. So that's my favorite part, my superpower. But I also just feel like, when you're building a real estate investing business, it's you get to like lead the direction of where this project goes, right? And I think there's a lot of way where you can add value even to, the broader society as well. Like right now, I'm really passionate about this affordable housing project that I'm doing in Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's
Not only
great.
do the numbers look nice, but I also feel like, I'm actually, backing a good cause and, creating, more opportunities for locals in the
So
area.
let's talk about your adventures in fractional investing when you started out. You weren't an accredited investor, correct? When you started as 20 something, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you you weren't able to get into some of the other fractional investing platforms, but you're able to use. And what happened there?
Oh gosh, that was an extremely underwhelming experience. And I went in with really high hopes, right? Because I had already experienced a lot of struggle and kind of a letdown beforehand, trying to, invest with my own money, coming out of college. Didn't want to be, a mama's girl forever, right? Like doing their flips. I was like, I gotta, build my own portfolio. How do I do this? Obviously, California not going to be the answer. And I was like, okay, let's do out of state investing. Had never done that before. Even out of state investing still costs a decent amount of money, right? Like, even though it is
Yeah.
more affordable, it's still a 200,000, 300,000, or more home. And I was like, well, I've only got $5,000. Like, what can I do? Immediately started Googling, like investing with 5K, and then saw a bunch of crowdfunding platforms, and Fundrise was one of them. And I was like, wow, this is going to save my day. And ended up not being that at all. Basically, I put in my $5,000 and just never heard anything afterwards. Like, I had no idea where my money was getting invested into, didn't really know what was happening to the projects afterwards. It was just like a complete black box. And then,
Wow.
I opened my Bank of America, and every quarter I see they send me like 25 cents in dividends. And I'm just like, okay, like, I might be new to out of state investing, but certainly there's way more, than 25 cents, right? So that to me was just like, I felt like I didn't get involved in how it worked. And that's also why I, had very low visibility into what was happening behind the scenes. And just that, like, that layer where I didn't get to, define where this was going really bothered me a lot. So that turned into, okay, let me actually have a hands-on approach to doing this, and actually doing it with people that I enjoy working with. So ended up partnering with my co-founder, and we started doing deals together.
If we ran that cap rate, that's like a 0.001% cap rate, just to throw that out there. Not the best return. If you're enjoying this talk so far, make sure you hit that like button, share this with someone else who might be interested, and we have a link below so you can join our community on Fractional.app. When you share that story, I better understand why Fractional is set up the way it is, where it's a community and everybody's chit chatting, and you chit chat if you want. You can talk about deals. You can talk about what happens before you invest. You can talk about what's going on after you invest, and you know this better because you have over 150 doors now that you've invested in through Fractional. So you should be the one saying this, but this is my perspective, logging in and seeing this, that it's a complete community. Like, people want to learn from each other. So it's not like some of the real estate investors out there, like, I'll call him out, Grant Cardone. Like, hey, big successful dude, like smoking his cigars, driving his fancy cars, all that. God bless him, flying in planes. There's investors that'll work with him and do well theoretically, but I'm going to venture to say that's not the same crowd that's coming into Fractional. Am I reading that right?
Yes, absolutely correct. I would say, people on the fractional platform, like, they're genuinely here to learn with each other and actually collaborate together. And that's why I like to describe our users as actually motivated investors, because they want to take matters into their own hands and build their wealth with other capable people, and, build their success together. So, you have folks that will come in, be resourceful, help other folks. And, as you're building up, like, there are more and more things to learn as well. Like, even for me, 150 doors, there's still plenty of things that I don't know, that I'm counting on other people in the fractional community to be able to, teach me and get me into more opportunities too. And I love your call out about, the gurus out there. It
Yeah.
honestly, like, blew my mind when I first heard about that. Is, wow, like, really people are paying, tens of thousands of dollars to take a course. And that money can actually be spent like investing in something that's your own equity, right? Like, the minimum investment on fractional is contributing $5,000 into a project, right? And that is your own equity that's going to grow over time and be your wealth. It's not, an expense that you're putting into an online class for, who knows how much value you would get out of that. And I honestly think the best way to learn is to learn by doing. So,
Yeah.
that's why I totally agree with a lot of the points that you just mentioned there.
And great point what you made about people investing $5,000 in a course for the super guru out there. They actually aren't going to get their 20 cents back that you were getting. And again, I don't mean to call them out, but I think it's important. What you said, the education you can get by just lurking on Fractional is worth that and more. And like you said, you can invest your money and you can see a return or not see a return. Quite frankly, maybe you invest 5,000, you get 4,500 back. Well, you're still doing better than you would have had you invested 5,000 in some pie in the sky real estate investment course. So we've talked about some of what fractional is, and the folks watching this, I'm going to encourage them to actually log in and see it for themselves. They don't need to hear us talking. But what is fractional not? How would you differentiate? What would you say fractional does not do?
That is a great question. So I do think there is a lot of noise just around the world word fractional investing. And
Okay.
people interpret it in a lot of different ways, right? Like I get asked a million times, like, is this a crypto company because it's fractional? Or they might think it's a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust, or a syndicate even. So those are all things that fractional is not. And really, the biggest difference is that you are an actual active owner versus just somebody who is a completely silent and passive investor that's just parking their money with someone else and just having the entire project be controlled by the work of someone else and hoping that they would be successful in getting you your money and your returns back. So with fractional, it's like you're an actual owner with the other people that are in your group. Everybody is contributing something. Like, for example, I contribute the underwriting. Some of my partners, they're great artists. They might go into the property, paint the murals for the Airbnb.
Oh,
Or,
wow.
maybe they know that specific area really well. They're doing a lot of the deal sourcing. So it's like we're all contributing some sort of active effort that's going to make our project successful. And that's how we win big, we learn more, and we really help each other succeed here.
I love that. And I know some of the other fractional forms of ownership, you get a token. And I was joking with someone about this. I'm old enough when we used to go to Chuck E. Cheese, which is still around. You would use tokens and they give you, like, you get a bucket of tokens, you shovel those into the machine. A Chuck E. Cheese token is not worth anything. And that's how I feel about getting a token for real estate. Like you said, you're getting ownership in an actual asset and you have a say. And you don't have to have a say, right? If you just want to sit back and watch your money grow, you can, but you get to decide the level of involvement.
Absolutely.
Where do you see fractional investing heading, Stella? Because as real estate gets more expensive, I can see there's a lot of folks that may never be able to take down a full asset, but could definitely, they still want to have real estate as part of their portfolio.
So I actually see, fractional ownership as the de facto way that, people should own in the future. And you bring up a really great point around, just the cost, right? I think that is a very obvious thing for a lot of people. Housing isn't that affordable, the prices keep rising. How do we actually split the cost of entry into actually owning real estate, building generational wealth together? But on top of that, I feel like in, the world of business building, it's very common and almost like strongly recommended that you always find business partners, you always find
Mhm.
co-founders to build a business together, right? But it's almost like in real estate investing, people have the initial perception that, I should do real estate investing by myself. And that is, that concept I think should really be turned around because building, a real estate business, real estate investing, it's the same as building any business. Like there's definitely a lot of really great points for why having a team will help you succeed. And every, successful real estate investor that I know actually has a team behind them, whether it's investing with, their friends, their family, or even just building a greater network around them. And that's truly, where I see fractional going is hopefully, we can become that social and that infrastructure layer for people to really take advantage of building a partnership, building a team when it comes to real estate investing.
To scale a real estate investment business, it can be a very overwhelming process to have to literally find people to help with every layer of the investing. You guys answer and give great professionals to help with so many of the layers that are the less fun and less exciting layers, to where you can actually be social and have fun and invest with others and enjoy the process. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to have no headaches. It's more fun to lament together than to to be the one in the corner crying over the deal. I love the social nature of it, and I love the fact, again, and I can't say it enough, logging into Fractional, seeing all the interaction, seeing people talking, all the different groups. Like that's it. Another cool thing too that you set up, Stella, is like you can invest with like-minded folks. Whatever your thing is, you could be a left-handed ballet dancer, and I'm sure there's going to be a group in there for that. I don't know. It could.
Absolutely. I actually have a really great story to share around just that. I'm actually in a group of, Asian investors, and at one
Nice.
time there were, a big group of us that was just really interested in the Atlanta market, and none of us have actually met each other in real life. Like we only know each other through, the fractional platform, the online community, and we're like, why don't we just all, pick a weekend? Let's all fly out to Atlanta and we'll do like an Atlanta field trip. And literally 100 of us like just bought plane tickets without ever meeting each other in real life, and we just flew into Atlanta, met each other at like the same hotel, and we got a whole like school bus and everything, and we were just touring the city and looking at different apartments, buildings, all of that, and ended up making a purchase on a $3.85 million portfolio with
Nice.
20 something of us. So it's like that synergy. I feel like it's really, really difficult to, replace. Like it's something that's truly, truly special.
Atlanta's still talking about you guys, I'm sure, having come in and hit the town. And it's organic. It grew out of what you've created, Stella. It wasn't forced. It's absolutely one of the benefits of creating community. This has been amazing. I've had fun.
I've had a ton of fun.
What are you waiting for? Come on over to the Fractional.app community. No obligation to buy anything at all. You can lurk and learn from others and enjoy meeting like minded, smart, and motivated professionals like you. We have more exciting content coming with Fractional.app, including a live stream where we analyze a deal with Stella Han. This will be great for all of us number nerds. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we can't wait to meet you.